Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Linda. This is Beyond Brass. I do junk journaling, ephemera, journaling, whatever. Paper crafts. That's what I do. Paper crafts, mostly journal related. I have on my desk today my little stash busting prompt thing. So in here, in my stash, I have these bins that are about 11, say about 9 by 11, 9 by 12, and I keep coffee dyed paper, ledger paper, ephemera, that kind of stuff in it. But I always forget to use it. So I set myself a little challenge. You can follow along. I'm calling it the Great Stash Off 2025, kind of like the Great British Bake Off 2025, only without cookies. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling 2 prompts from this jar. These are the bins that have the stuff in it, and then one from this. This is a type of ephemera, like a pocket, a tag, tickets, that kind of thing. So, and I got myself bigger little containers. I was using a little jar. They weren't big enough, so I'm going to use these and see if they work better. I gave them a good shake, but let's give them another good shake. So, pattern sewing, and I'm shutting my eyes, I promise. And, oh, maps. Okay. That could be different. Huh. Okay. And what are we going to make? Pockets. Okay. Just going to put those on the top so that I don't forget what I am doing. And I'm going to grab the things I need. Realistically, I have so many patterns. I have a bin of patterns, but I have a 2-drawer filing cabinet bursting at the seams with patterns. Partly because I sewed for most of my life. So I just pulled out just some. But I thought it might be fun to kind of dig through this a little bit together. I have like this map that I found at a thrift store in Montreal when I went to visit last year. That is unbelievably, sorry, that's going to be like all over your face. Like unbelievably cool. So I might use that one, because you don't need very much to make a pocket. And then we need to determine, am I going to do like a, no, that would be an envelope, not a pocket. I have a map of London, also got this one in a thrift store. I have pieces of map, also from a thrift store. Books, map books. These are more of those same ones that I got at the thrift store. Like $1.99. National Geographic, interesting. This one must be really old. It's one of those wall map. National Geographic used to include them in their magazines. I don't know if they do anymore. I got a whole bunch of these in a bundle. They were in a file folder, and I don't know if they knew what they were. They're of the around Vancouver Island shipping stuff. And then a brochure on Stonehenge. I don't know that that qualifies as a map, though it does have a map at the back. And then these plain blue ones, which are from a book. And I have more than this. Like I have, yeah, I have more that doesn't fit in here. But these are the ones that are just in this. So I think I'm going to either use one of these shipping ones. I'll use that just because. I think what I'll do is just take a panel and I'm just going to tear it. It's old, it's sorry for the noise of this. It's quite fragile, so it should tear fairly simply, at least on that side. Give it a little bit of a burnish to make it tear a bit easier here. And then okay, that. I am going to utilize this fold because it's in a nice spot. Let me just put this away because I don't need it now. And what I think I'm going to do is just take a pattern piece and lay it over top of the map and adhere it with gel. Matte gel, medium, that thing. And that will work because I think what I'll do is I'll cut this off at the black line here and then fold it over and notch it. And I am going to leave it that size and then fold it probably in about half and make like a double pocket thing. Thing is a technical term. Thingamahoosit is also a technical term. You could call it a thingamahoosit, a thingamawhatchamacallit. I'm using golden fluid matte medium low gloss acrylic, but it does have some other golden in here. Not sure exactly what it is because I got it at the thrift store. And I also, just hang on a second, I need some parchment paper for underneath so I don't get it all over my mat, like here. So, make sure you get, if you're using matte medium to adhere stuff down, make sure you get it all over. You could do this with glue stick. I don't find glue stick to be glue stick doesn't adhere as well. It doesn't, I find it doesn't adhere permanently, and it doesn't necessarily stick in every single spot that you want it to stick. You could use Mod Podge if you have Mod Podge. Mod Podge can be dubious as far as, or like not as, like you can trust Golden, Liquitex, all of those, that when you put it down, Tim Holtz's gel medium, he's got like a collage medium that adheres really quickly, and the adherence of those is really, really good, where other things don't necessarily adhere as quickly or as well. So what I want to do, and I probably set myself quite a challenge, is I want to get it so that the line of that lines up with that outer edge. And then I'm going to smooth it out like so. And turns out I got it on all of it. Now, the interesting thing is I now have matte medium all over my hands, even though the matte medium is in between the pattern and the map, but it's because of how the map, like how that adheres down. And then I'm going to, on the back side, burnish this so that I know it's well and truly adhered. Like so. You could trim off your pattern at this point in time. I'll trim it off when it dries. Now I'm going to turn it back over so that I know it stays. And because I smooth that down with my hand, there's no wrinkling in that at all, which is quite lovely. And I am going to, with my very sticky hands, trim a little bit off on the bottom. Which you probably can't even see because that's not even on frame. Okay, and a little bit at the top as well. Perhaps a little at the side. And then burnish that back so my corners stick, which is why I trimmed that off, so that my corners stick, unlike that side. I'm going to I'm going to fold that in half because there's a bit of stick to the gel medium and I don't want it to stick to the parchment paper. Part of the reason for using the parchment paper is to prevent it from sticking, but it might still. And I may have to glue the corners back down a little bit more with Barely Arts, but I'm hoping it adheres perfectly. So I'm going to let this dry on its own and come back later on and film the next bit. My gel medium is now very nicely dry, and I'm just going to move that out of the way so it doesn't bug us anymore. It looks like it did wrinkle a small amount, but I'm really pleased with how flat that turned out. So I'm going to trim it with a pair of scissors, just trim off that little excess bit of pattern paper, and I will probably even it up some, or I might not. And I am going to give myself, I was going to say I'm going to give myself permission to throw these bits away, but there's letters, there's words on that. So I will throw away those because there's nothing of interest on those. But I'm just going to add that to my scrap basket. I want this black line at the top to be the fold line. Maybe a little taller than that. Just a little bit above that because of the way that A is. And I don't want to lose that. Is that even? That's probably not at all square. Perhaps looks a little bit straighter. And grab that, which is also known as an X-Acto blade. And my ruler. And I'm going to trim off so that I have maybe 1/4 of an inch of excess at the top. I don't need a lot. And then I will save that because that's also usable for other things. My poor chair keeps squeaking, and I know I keep saying I'm going to get WD-40 and make it so my chair doesn't squeak, and then I don't. Put some glue on there. And just glue that down like so. Now, that doesn't look like a pocket at all. Not even close. Using my ruler, I am going to trim a little bit on this side because I did kind of want to keep that black line at the edge. And then I should be able to, yay, it is square, trim just a little bit off the other side just to ensure that it's nice and even. And again on the bottom edge just to make sure it's even. Because you can tell that's really nice and even. Look at how even that is. And I do throw away pieces like this. So that should be a nice rectangle now, which means that I can fold it in half and it will be rectangular instead of some other silly shape. Like so. And then if you want that to be perfectly even, you would come and go you would measure, the black side doesn't have nice inches on it. It's all, I think those are 1/4 inch squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be the center line. I thought I had a pencil on my desk. I do have a pencil on my desk. Sorry, I bumped the camera. I'm very sorry. So I'm just going to put a little line there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that would be the halfway mark. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's the halfway mark. So now what I can do, I totally forgot I got a big one at the thrift store a couple weeks ago. Like, I finally have a 2-inch punch. I'm so excited. I think that's a 2-inch punch. If not, it's close. If you wanted to, you could totally ink around that, but I am going to wait. I'm totally going to wait. And then the other thing that I want to do, hopefully this will work, is I just want to fold up about 1/4 inch on the bottom and along each side. And I'm not measuring it, I'm just kind of winging it, which I always do. Stay flat. Don't rip. Interesting thing, didn't even think of this. This is a vintage map, well used, and there was a fold line, and I missed that there was a fold line here, and it ripped on the fold line at the edge there. So I am going to do a bit of reinforcement. So I could do that on the outside or on the inside. Let me just give that some thought. Also need to trim back the edges at the little points and in here at the corners, so that when those are folded up, these will be gussets and, sorry about that noise, will give me more room to put things in the pocket, which is kind of the point. I could leave, no, I think I want to put a line of like washi tape all along this fold line on the inside, just to ensure that it doesn't break. And because I'm going to put it on the inside, it doesn't matter what it looks like. So I can use any washi tape. And I'm going to add Barely Arts to keep it from cracking or from pulling up. I find sometimes washi tape doesn't adhere properly because it's actually not meant to. It's meant to be able to pull it on and off. And I've got gel medium on part of this little gusset here, which will mean that the washi tape really wouldn't adhere properly to that section. There, like so. Just trim that back a little bit. And I'm just going to burnish that down a bit. Like so. I keep crafting like I'm on my own, which I am on my own, which means I throw my equipment around. I don't want this, toss. And then it hits other things on my desk and it's like, oh, noise, didn't want that. So sorry. All right, that's better. And then just fold this again, like so. Now it's not 100% perfect. I can see that one side is a little bit bigger than the other. That probably means that I folded in more on this edge than on this edge, which would explain why this side cracked or tore at that one section. So I could just come in a tiny bit more. Like so. Like so. Now my idea, and I just need to see whether this will work color-wise, is to add it to one of my journal pages, and I have a specific way I want to add it. So just need to find, I haven't put these in any kind of order at this point in time. What I'm thinking is I need to trim all the weight off of these pages. That I would put it on my signature like so. And then glue it along the edges there and there, but after the signatures are sewn in. So I would just place it on the page now, not glue it down, and glue it down after the signatures are sewn in. I could glue it down first, but if it shifts at all, it's not going to work. And then I have a little pile of extra pages that were on my desk, and sitting in front of my printer, and I spilt a whole bunch of water on top of them. And you know what happens with inkjet papers when you get them wet. So I have edges of them that are not usable because they're like wrapped. But I could take a portion of it, and this is what I'm thinking. Like, perhaps this is just an idea. Like perhaps like so, and glue it down on top and do some collage, and then put like an image, one of the fussy cuts on top of it. But I haven't decided for sure if I want to do that. And I'm not positive this will go with this kit. Like this is pretty yellow and this is really blue. So the only way that this would work in here is if I covered a portion of it like so, and then collaged on top of it like so. But I don't ever do I can't say I don't ever. I've only once done a journal where I don't do the ephemera after I sew in my signatures. So if I'm going to use this like this in a journal, I would build my signatures first and then decorate that pocket, not the opposite way around. That's just the way that I create. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it at this point with this one, and then we'll figure it out when we get to building the journal, which will be the next video I do. I'll show you how I choose papers for my signature, and we'll put together 5 signatures and perhaps sew them in, or I may do the sewing in as a separate journal, or a separate journal, yeah, as a separate video. But hopefully that will give you a little bit of an idea. If you're like I am and have tons of pattern pieces, the tissue from patterns, you can use it however you want. And you can use it like this over top of another image and completely change the way the image looks. Like now you've got random little, like it looks like somebody had drawn, perhaps on the map, there's little blue lines. Now I don't know whether those were on the map or on the pattern paper, because it didn't look that closely at either one. Or it might be no, those like look like actual like pen marks. They're probably on the map. But you've got like words that wouldn't belong on the map. You've got like, it just gives it so much added interest. If you use gel medium to adhere it down like I did, you're going to get not a plasticky feel, but almost a plasticky feel to the front of it. But that tissue is going nowhere. It is solidly adhered down. It's one of the beauties of golden matte medium. It is probably the best one out there as far as a product goes. But play around if you've got tissue paper, napkins with pretty images. Put them on maps, put them on book pages, put them on, I don't know, anything that you've got that is kind of, maybe you're meh about the bottom piece of whatever it is. Put something like a piece of pattern paper or a napkin on top of it, and see if you then like it. And then if you don't be afraid to put gesso over top of it. Gesso will fully adhere to the matte medium and give you other effects. Like then you can like white out images of this that you don't like to give you a more plain background again. Just feel free to play with it. It's art. Have fun. That's the point. So until next time, have a lovely crafty day. Oh, and if you want to play along, the hashtag I'm using for me for this is the Great Stash Off 2025. I'll put the hashtag down below, and use up your stash. Play with it in fun ways and create interesting and fun little bits. And until next time, have a lovely crafty day. Bye.